Welcome back to the Sober Sex Sofa. My name is Shanti Patty Owen, and I am your host for this channel where we discuss sobriety, sex, and mental health. Kissing and sex, it's like an express highway. I start making out with somebody, I'm gonna have sex. I am a sex addict, love addict, an alcoholic, a compulsive gambler, and a debtor. I'm so happy to be with you in the month of February, which is the month of love, classically Valentine's Day. And the subject of this particular video is sober sex for sex and love addicts. Now, that might not seem terribly romantic for everyone, but I'll tell you, it has saved my life. So I'm going to explain to you how it's different for people like myself who have sex and love addiction, and how we need to navigate these waters with a very particular type of map. Before I get into the particulars on sober sex for sex and love addicts, I want to say personally, I am grateful that I have this affliction because I have suffered my entire adult life around sex, romance, and relationships. And it wasn't until I hit bottom that I awoke to the possibilities of how much better life can be without suffering with this. And one of the ways that almost everybody in this fellowship gets sober is through having sober sex. So you might say, well, what is sober sex? So there's a difference, by the way, between sober sex for alcoholics and drug addicts and sober sex for people like me in sex and love addiction programs. I'm also an alcoholic, but I'll talk about particularly sober sex for people who have substance abuse very particularly in another video. There are also various sex addiction programs, 12-step programs. There are quite a few, actually. I think there's about 6 of them. And according to tradition, I do not divulge that publicly, but if you send me an email at sobersexsofa@gmail.com, you subscribe to my channel, hit the bell notification, we can be in touch more intimately, and I can answer your questions uniquely and individually. Okay. So one of the 12-step programs for sex addiction I attend, we talk about something called the bottom lines. There are other S programs. I'll use S for short for sex. There are other S programs that talk about inner circles. Some of them talk about a plan. But I think bottom lines is something that most people understand what a bottom line is. It's like the bottom line in business. You do not go like that's a hard stop, no. It's the same for sober sex. So I'll just give you examples of 2 of my bottom lines. So I used to be quite promiscuous. So for me, one of my bottom lines is I do not have sex unless I am in a monogamous relationship. So there's one. The other bottom line I have is I do not date unavailable men. So you might say, what is unavailable? There are various forms of unavailable. For instance, a man who's married, clearly unavailable to be in a monogamous relationship with me. It could be a man who's a widower. Now, I have dated one widower before, and I learned through that relationship how challenging it was for me because we dated far too soon after his wife had passed on. She had only passed on about 6 or 7 months before we started dating. And he was not emotionally available to me. So it's not that I can't date a widower, but I have a hard stop that they have to be a widower for 2 years before I would date them. There are many ways people can be unavailable. They might be unavailable emotionally. And in my former life, before I got sober from sex and love addiction, I wouldn't have found out the person was not available emotionally because I probably would have slept with them on the first or second date. So I have a dating plan also. And my dating plan, which I have created with my sponsor, says that I do not have sex with my partner, even though we might not be in a committed monogamous relationship yet. I do not have sex for a minimum of 3 months once we start dating. And then before we have sex, we have to have the talk about, is this person really looking for a monogamous relationship? And if the answer from the other side is no, then I don't have sex with them and I stop seeing them. These are ways that people who, have sex and love addiction can have healthy sexual relationships. Now, if you don't have this particular affliction, you might say, well, duh, I wouldn't sleep with somebody on the first or second date. But some people, not all women, but that was pretty much my MO for most of my adult life. So you might, if you don't have sex and love addiction, you might be listening to this video and everything I'm saying about having sober sex would be like a duh for you. And how wonderful that you grew up in a healthy environment and learned these skills. I did not. A couple of my other bottom lines is that I do not date unsober addicts. And they don't have to think they're an addict, but if I think they are, then I don't date them. And I also don't date sober addicts if they have been in recovery for less than 2 years. So that's just an example of how my particular bottom lines go, a few of them anyway. I also want to share with you how a dating plan can go, which I work with my sponsor. It's always really important to have a sponsor because they have that outside eye. They can kind of see our sneakiness when we can't see it. For instance, I recently said to my sponsor, I haven't been in a relationship in a few years and I'm really busy with my work right now. Like, would it be okay to have, like kind of a sex buddy? I said it to her on the phone, so I couldn't see her face, thank God. And she said, Shanti, absolutely not. And I was really shocked. I said, but why? She said, because you're a sex addict. I said, yeah, but does that mean like I'm not going to have sex for another maybe year or two? I have to wait to have sex until I'm in a monogamous relationship? And she said, yes. I said, and I was really upset. I was really upset. I was angry, to tell you the truth. It took me like a day or two to kind of realize the brilliance of what she was saying. Because here's the thing, for me as a sex addict, it hits a button for me that once I realize, I can have sex with no commitment, I might sleep with this one person once and then take on another. And, soon I have, a dozen lovers, which I have done many times in the past. So that is no bueno for me. The other aspect that my sponsor mentioned to me is that, because I really grilled her on all the reasons why I couldn't have a lover without being in a monogamous relationship. And she said, Shanti, because when you just have a lover and there's no commitment, there's no real intimacy. And she said, people in this fellowship, we have intimacy disorders. And I went, oh, yeah. So yeah, that's another part of my plan is that I am not allowed to have, like it said in my bottom lines, I am not allowed to have sex unless I'm in a monogamous relationship. But I just want you to know that I can be sneaky. We can all be very sneaky. There are people who are alcoholics who sometimes they say, I can have one of those near beers, one of those, very low alcoholic beers. And, after they've had about 10 of them, they decide they want just one real beer and blah, blah, blah. The cycle goes on and they're back to drinking. So this is nothing that our sponsor tells us. We work it together. We talk about our challenges and how we can maneuver with them, around them, support our higher self. So here's the good news. When I am dating, I feel like I'm back in high school. It's very cute. Well, I will say it doesn't feel cute, but I know the guys that I have dated said they think it's cute, but I'm very nervous, very, very nervous. And alcohol used to help with that, but I don't drink alcohol anymore. So none of that. And me having sex early on in dating was also another way to get over my nervousness, weirdly enough. So for me to have dates for several months without having sex, kissing is allowed. I can't remember what my dating plan says. I think after 5 dates or something. Everybody's different. Everybody's unique. The reason for me that I can't kiss right away on a date is kissing and sex, it's like an express highway. I start making out with somebody, I'm going to have sex. So I have to be really careful with that. So the great, wonderful, wonderful gift of being sober as a sex and love addict is we get to really get intimate with ourselves and with other people. That is why, for me, very particularly, I need to be with an available man emotionally, because I'm going to be really raw. I don't have my bells and whistles to rely on anymore, whether they're with alcohol or with sexual behaviors. So I need to be with somebody who can handle a really raw emotional woman. And what I have been told from the people that I have dated since I got sex and love sober in 2012, I would say officially in 2012. It started at the end of 2011, but I started coming to programs in 2012. What I have been told from the people that I have dated is that they very much enjoy how uncomfortable I am. I might not enjoy how uncomfortable I am, but they have shared with me that they think it's sweet and cute. Oh, I do want to talk about alcohol and drugs, even if you do not identify as an alcoholic or a drug addict, or even if you don't identify as a sex and love addict. It is highly recommended for everybody across the board, when you are dating, especially in the initial stages, you do not drink alcohol, you do not take drugs. I include marijuana in that category. I know it's legal in so many places, but no marijuana, nothing harder, of course, no alcohol. Because what those substances do is they mess with our prefrontal cortex, which is the area of our brain that has to do with logic. And when we throw logic out of the wind, we could just say, oh, yeah, well, he's married, but they're looking to get a divorce. I did that once with somebody. Yeah, but he said that they're separated. So even if you do not identify with any form of addiction, when you are dating, please, might be challenging for you, don't drink, don't take substances. So that's what I have. My pearls of wisdom for the month of February, the month of love, for Valentine's Day. Please, everybody, be safe, be kind. You might have a date that is just someone you're not interested in at all, but please be kind. People have feelings, and please be nice to them, and be nice to yourself. Wonderful to be back here on the Sober Sex Sofa. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Hit the bell notification. Give a thumbs up to my video, to any of my videos. I hope you go back and look at the other videos I have. And I want to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Week, happy Valentine's Month, whether you are married, in a long-term partnership, whether you're dating, whether you're single, whether you're in a monogamous relationship with yourself and not dating anyone like I am currently. May you feel the love and joy of yourself, of the people around you that love you. And please remember to be gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself, and may that radiate out to everyone else. Happy month of love, everybody!